Yo, what is up, YouTube? In today's video, we will be updating our tank tier list. Now, we'll be updating it mainly because how I see the jobs has completely changed. And I want to change it, is the main thing, honestly. But the way I see the tanks has changed. I've got more playtime on all of them. And I think it's time to update these tier lists. And the first one we're going to start with is the tank one. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. But before I do that, I need you to go down, like scroll real quick, scroll. You need to check to make sure it says subscribed or not subscribed. If it is still red, you're doing something wrong. You need to go ahead, hit that button, make sure it's grayed out, and let's proceed into the video. Boom. Okay. And like I said in the intro, this will only be the tanks we will be doing today. And hopefully you agree this time much more than you agreed last time. Because let's just be honest. I feel like when I make a tier list, I get a 50-50 split. Some people are like, hey, this, I don't hate it. And then there's just some people that just absolutely, just for some reason, take tier list as a, I guess, like, they're doing something right. Like, hey, he agrees that my job's the best. Like, I don't know why they're looking for confirmation on whether I see if their job's the best or not. But these are all just 100% opinion-based. There are statistics to prove that these jobs are, in fact, 1, 2, 3. But none of that really matters, because all jobs in this game are playable. So, for the love of God, do not get upset and start attacking someone over the fact they don't see your job as you see it. Just get over it. It's not that big of a deal. With that being said, we're going to hop right into it. And before I touch the first job, every job I am about to talk about is viable. There is no problem with you playing the Dark Knight over the Gunbreaker. There is no problem with you picking Gunbreaker over Warrior. Calm down. It doesn't matter. This is just supposed to be fun. Now let's get into it, okay, class? Nobody scream. We're going to start. Timmy in the back, I know you're about to say something. Just be quiet. This is just an opinion of how I see the jobs. This isn't a set in stone, your job's much worse than the others. They're all perfect in their own way. Now that I got that out, let's go ahead and start this. Felt like that was a little bit of a rant. I just hate the fact people take these tier lists so serious. But, with that being said, we're going to start off with the Dark Knight. And no, that's not jokes. I know I kind of used it as the first example. But, hey, it's what it is. The Dark Knight. Now, the Dark Knight is definitely not the strongest. And that by no means it's bad. I mean, I see a lot of Gunbreaker Dark Knight combos, Warrior Dark Knight. Like, it is a very good second tank. It is. In the raids, I traditionally see more Dark Knights and Gunbreaker Warriors. I do see a lot of Paladins. Like, I see these jobs a lot, but it never fails that if the first tank's either a Paladin, Gunbreaker, or Warrior, the second one will always be a Dark Knight. I get Dark Knight tanks all the time. But, with that being said, I think it is just a B tier. I think out of all the tanks, it does good damage, good sustain. But really, it's just an edge boy class. It's the edge boy of tanks. And I 100% at one point, I think this job will be the greatest tank. I love the Dark Knight. I love the aesthetic. I love how it plays. I love everything about it. But I can't say it's above the Paladin. I can't say it's above the Warrior. And I can't say it's above the Gunbreaker. Now, I don't see that as a problem in any way. Like I said at the beginning, they're all viable. So really, it's just whatever one you want to play and whatever class feels best to you. But it's just not up there. It does have cool abilities. Let's be honest. I love its invulnerability move. I love it. I think it's hands down my favorite out of all of them. Living Dead, I love it. I love how it can summon a clone of itself. That's also really, like, out of all tanks, that's probably one of my favorite abilities out of all. Warriors can take their I forgot the name of the move. But they can Fell Cleave. They can take their Fell Cleave elsewhere. I'll just summon another one of myself and do damage. But with all that said, no like toxic behavior put towards Warrior. I love the Warrior a lot. It's my least played, but by all means, it's a solid class. But back to the Dark Knight. The Dark Knight just lacks stuff that other tanks can bring. But in no way is that a judgment, smite, or anything, because I think the job is in a spot where it can eventually overtake all the other jobs and be number one. But for now, it is a B tier job. Now, if we go to the Gunbreaker. Now, the Gunbreaker, it's kind of a hit or miss. It is much like a DPS class. It does damage, and it's just tanky. But it almost feels like the job was made in the sense of they just wanted to go out there and swing a sword and give it a club sound. I don't know why they decided instead of a cutting noise when you swing it, it'd sound more like a club. But I'm not here to get upset about the sounds jobs make when they swing their weapons. I definitely think the Gunbreaker is a solid job. I love playing it, heavy damage, but still prefer the Dark Knight to it. But if I'm ranking it on if it's better than the Dark Knight or not, I just think its damage is much higher than that. Honestly, we're going to move. We're just going to do this as a 1, 2, 3, 4 type situation. So we're going to move. These don't matter. Let's go ahead and change this. Number 1. Oh, wait, that's exclamation mark. I don't know why I shifted that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we're no longer going off the alphabet, okay? Makes a little bit more sense. Can I delete the row? Yeah, let's delete the rows. We don't need these. So, we're going to do it 1 through 4. And these are going to be like number 1, tank job, number 2, tank job. And we're going to put Gunbreaker as the... Gunbreaker does a lot of damage. But in a sense, I don't get the feeling that I'm tanking when I'm playing the job. Like, yes, you have mitigation. Yes, you have tank stance. Yes, all that. But this job really feels like you have all that. It's all good. But the main point to it feels like it's just supposed to go in there and it's supposed to deal a lot of damage. Swinging its little gun sword. And it doesn't feel like I'm really tanking when I play it. And that could just be how I play it, which could be very wrong. But out of all the tanks, I don't get the feeling that I'm there to tank. Yes, I've got aggro. Yes, I'm mitigating. Yes, my tank stance is up. But it feels like I'm just hitting my tank stance and then I'm just comboing my moves away. Which, I don't know why. It could just be something in my head. But I think out of all the jobs, it is the 3rd best tank. I think it's always going to kind of stay in that middle area of tanks. And the main reason I say that is I don't see them upping its defense while its offense is so strong. But I do think the Gunbreaker is hands down a good tank. All these tanks are magnifical. They're perfect. Yes, it's going to alter patch for patch. Like, we all know that when Endwalker comes out, the Paladins are going to be number one. It's just how it is. But for the time being, other things get to stay in first. But let's go ahead and get to the poster child of Endwalker, which is the Paladin. And to me, the Paladin is the pretty much the standard tank. It does nothing wrong. It does everything right. And it's just a safe tank for beginners to pick up, as well as it's kind of the bread and butter of tanks. It's hard to do Paladin wrong compared to other jobs. If this was in which one's the easiest, Paladin would be number one. That's just how the job plays. But it is unfortunately number two out of tanks because it's not that it does anything wrong. It's not that it's weak. It's just, that's just where it sits right now. And 100%, I think this is how it's doing. Yoshi be sitting there like, yeah, it's the poster boy child of the expansion. We're going to keep it at number 2. And then boom, expansion comes out number 1. But for right now, it's number 2. But let's be honest, with all jobs getting these cool abilities that we saw in the tester of Endwalker, they're doing stuff right, 100%. But I think the Paladin is number 2. It's got good damage. It's got good mitigation. It's the Paladin. It's the only job that gets a offhand weapon that adds to their stats. It's one of the only jobs to use shields, and yes, the Conjurers use shields. The Black Mage used to use... No, it's not the Conjurers that use shields. It's the Black Mage that used to use shields early on when they were Thaumaturge. That's what it was. But the Paladin is just... It's the poster boy of all tanks. When you play an MMO, you expect to see the job that is sword and shield and call it a Paladin. That's just what you expect. So with Final Fantasy's interpretation of Paladin, it's there. It's exactly what it needs to be. There's not really anything it's missing, except for maybe some it's got mitigation. That's true. It's got the damage. It's just mainly missing any real I can't really even think of anything it's missing. It's just there. Also, I'm trying to find the right word for lifesteal, but it's not lifesteal. But it's what it is. On to the Warrior. Now, the Warrior is obviously number 1. There is no spots left on this list. And the main reason I think the Warrior is number 1 right now is, one, they updated it and it slaps. This job slaps. You don't need a healer, really. If you were using this job in old content, your healer doesn't really have to worry near as much as if you bring a Gunbreaker. But that is if the person knows how to play tank. Or the Warrior in general. If you know how to play all these jobs to T, unfortunately, this is where they fall. The Warrior, if you are the best Warrior, you're the best tank. Now, obviously, not everybody's going to be 100% at their job. They're not. That's just not going to happen. But the Warrior is the number 1. It is the number 1 because, 1, the damage. 2, its mitigation's good. It has great life steal when it comes to its abilities. I keep forgetting the word they use in the game for that. But it just can keep itself healed without really needing anything. Its rotation is good. Fell Cleave is good. Does a lot of big crit damage. It's got that big hit damage. And it doesn't really do a whole lot wrong right now. But with that being said, it went from being like the 3rd job, because it used to be Paladin, Gunbreaker, Warrior, and then Dark Knight, which Dark Knight was right on its tail. And they updated, and it was like, oh no, shit, everybody back up, Warrior. And that's just how it is right now. The Warrior is the top tier job. It's big boy energy, big boy damage, and big boy heals. This boy can heal itself. Now, I do know a lot of people that play Paladin are going to say, well, the Paladin's got its own heal with Clemency. Yeah, I get that. I get it. It don't have Fell Cleave. As much as I ragged on it earlier, Fell Cleave is a strong move for that class to have. But yes, I get that the Paladin has its own heal. But the Warrior has healing baked into all of its attacks. Damn near. It can heal itself just using its rotation. But I do put my hand in the air saying this will change in 2 months, 3 months, and some of these jobs will fall down. So, once again, before we go ahead and get on out here, I'm going to make sure, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Go ahead, like the video. Go ahead, leave a comment down below on, do you think this was a better tier list than my first one? And let me know what you would like to see in the next video. And without further ado, peace. Go get you some chicken. Go eat the chicken. And make sure to come back for another video next Sunday. Bye-bye. Thank you.